Just back from IT Nation Secure 2025 and right outside of Orlando. It was a great event. Many vendors, many MSPs, just focused on security. The keynote kicked off and there was 4 people up on stage, a panel, and they were from different companies, not just ConnectWise. ConnectWise is trying to make this community, not just what they offer, but with others as well. But the vendor hall was full. There was lots of great vendors. I was able to have 16 conversations with great guests right there at the resort. I had great guests, great guests. First started with Gene Templin, MSP Sales Reimagined. Gene's in the Pitch It program, the ConnectWise, it's not new, but new for this year, incubator program. Jamie Williams, my friend from a long time ago, marketing before sales. MSPs, are you listening? Oh, Ricardo from Lumu. Yes, my fellow aviator. I've known Ricardo for a couple of years now, and great conversation. Ricardo. Oh, Rayanne, of course, Rayanne from ABC. The name of the episode is From Cables to Closing. Fascinating backstory to Rayanne and what she does now, also in the Pitch It program. Mike Estep from Blackpoint Cyber. Great story from MSP to vendor now. Blackpoint's a great security company, and it was a great conversation with Mike. Mark Balanov, first time I met Mark, really great conversation. Really enjoyed it. Talking about cyber lessons. David Chernitsky, fascinating background from Russia to Israel to Canada to what he knows about the martial arts and everything he learned from the best people in cybersecurity there in Israel. Great conversation. David, Matt Holland, first time I met Matt, great conversation from Spy Tech to MSP Simplicity. Tanner Cookson, fascinating from great company. MSPs getting paid quickly. We talked about rowing, riding, and revenue. Tim Weber, cybersecurity firm now. He's a volunteer firefighter in Connecticut, my home state. Joel Cahill, great conversation with Joel. I've known Joel for quite a while now. First time we ever sat and talked like this. The episode's Cold Plunges, Hot Takes, and Cyber Strategy. But great conversation with Joel. Paul Lupo from Bitdefender. Paul's been around for quite a while, and he has great stories and great insight on the great company that Bitdefender is. David Rasapor from ConnectWise, new CPO. Wonderful insights from David, his background in Iran, and David is just a true engineer. Ozzy Saeed from Compliance, he actually helped write the specs to CMMC. Fascinating conversation with Ozzy and the saltwater fish tanks as well, one of his great hobbies. Sarvash Rao, of course, I've known Sarvash for a couple of months now, really focusing on MSPs, helping those SMBs with his with the security platform. And of course, ended with Matthew Benazari. Great conversation about, started with climbing. He's a great climber, about cyber fires and MSP fortitude there at Arete, and great conversation. Thanks all for being part of this, and thanks everyone for listening and watching.
Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. Found myself at 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. I took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People ask me, how'd you do it? What's the secret? I need to lose weight. How'd you do it? How did I lose the weight? Just one word: discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission: how do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision: growth through learning from others.
One like this, you'll be like, what the fuck's wrong with him? It's because I'm like...
Well, this is like having 3 grandkids. That must be so cool. How old are they, Mike?
I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and about a 1-year-old.
Wow.
What's really cool is the 1-year-old is our first granddaughter since my daughter was born 30 plus years ago.
Wow.
So we have our first granddaughter. Everything's been a grandson up until that point.
I see. And is the best part playing with them and then being able to leave?
Absolutely. All the stories about being a grandparent are awesome. You feed them sugar, you send them home, and you're like, yeah, I'm getting back at you for all those things. So yeah, no, we truly love them. Everybody lives close to the house, so makes my wife very happy to be able to see them. We probably see them at least once a week.
That's awesome.
So it makes it cool.
Yeah. Fascinating story you have, Mike. So you had the MSP. Tell me about the origin.
Well, the origin is I started in this business, in unfortunately the 80s, and would come to Atlanta, get hired by a company that we would build, and this year's 50 years old.
Amazing.
And started as a typewriter company. I got there at the end of the typewriter roller coaster to help us become a Novell Platinum partner, and then sold Compaq and those guys, and then have been through basically every transition of the IT space. When we in 2018 we decided that living in a silo wasn't a great thing, so me and a couple friends of mine formed a holding company, and we bought our own companies first, but then would start buying other companies and build one of the first owner-led acquisition groups that was privately funded by us, and that all went, it was a wonderful journey and ride for 35 years. And, in December of 23, we finally transacted to equity investment, and I wanted to do something different. And so John at Blackpoint was like, come help me build all things MSP, teach us the things we don't know. So that's what led me to the vendor side for the first time in my business career.
But you were now everybody talks about platforms, right? They buy these MSPs, they're creating this platform, but you were a platform before there were platforms.
Yeah, listen, I never know, when somebody started, but yeah, we were trying to do something. What we seen, like one of the things people say is MSP is recession proof. And what I learned in 2012 is unless your customers are recession proof, you're not recession proof. So that was probably the hardest management job I had to do, because I took us from 77 people back to 6.
Whoa.
But coming out of that recession, we knew we had to be something different. We knew we had to be much more mature, much bigger. So we started growing our own business that way. And then as we crossed over all these revenue lines, it just became obvious that, as we would say, the silos we were living in, I had to meet other people who was in the same silo. And so we didn't build it with the idea of calling it a platform. We built it with the idea of just helping other owners, find their freedom. That was what we were after. And, how could we all grow together, minimize some of the pain? I had run a peer group. The peer group platform was also founded in 75 and still today part of it. When you go to peer groups and everybody goes home, they go back to working on their same problems. We were like, we need to do that, but now own the brands that are a part of it so we can keep the focus on fixing things going forward. So yeah, I guess so. I mean, people, I know when John's around, he likes to say we did it before him, but I truly don't. we weren't doing it for that reason.
Right.
We were doing it because we wanted to have better quality of life for our people, better quality of life for all of our owners, and so that was the idea as we were building this thing.
How different is it now to run an MSP than it was then?
Oh, I think significantly different. I mean, first, post-COVID, everybody's got to be 7 by 24.
Right.
The challenge that COVID created is everybody got to work remote, which is really cool, but you want to go to your kid's soccer game or basketball game or whatever for 3 hours during the middle of the day, and you did. And then you're going to come home and work. Well, now you're expecting all the people who support you to be available. Once again, you're going to go to your kids', let's call it soccer, from 2 to 6. Then you're going to come home, and at 8 o'clock, you're going to go 8 to 12 to catch up. And now you have a help desk problem. You want to call help desk number. So things that were never, 7 by 24, servers down were always that way, but help desk support. And then once again, from a security standpoint, that has just gotten nuts. I mean, everybody being remote, everybody being, available, people working in multiple time zones were all things that just put pressure on us that we knew we were already, as a business, we were open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. with our help desk, and it still wasn't enough. So
Amazing.
I've seen this huge evolution of people expect help desk on Saturday. They expect to dial a number or chat with somebody instantly on the fly, and that's just put a tremendous amount of people pressure, and it's caused burnout.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely burnout.
You know, it's just engineers are worked like they've never worked before, and there's never a time off. You know, think about your phone. You know, I had to put my phone over in my bag just so I wouldn't pay attention to it. So as an MSP owner, that's a nervous itch. I mean, it vibrates at 2 a.m. I still look just because of, you know, once again, I can't say 30 years, 'cause I don't know how long the cell phone's been around, but, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's significantly different and significantly harder.
And we've talked about this before, but you said you missed the MSP.
Oh, well, what businesses take care of people more than we do?
Right.
I mean, you're deeply engaged in every business you touch. That relationship is just super special. We were actually having this conversation this past weekend with my wife. Some of my best friends are clients. I mean, just because you're in the weeds with them, and it's hard, it's difficult, but they become your friends. You rejoice when they win, you're sad when they lose. So I love the MSP space. I miss all the time with the people because it was relationships. Now, we were a little different, like post-COVID. You know, we only went remote from March 17th to May 4th.
Whoa.
Because all of our team wanted to come back to the office and be together.
Wow.
And that was special to us. And that's what I love about it. I love the relationships. I love walking around events like this and people going, "Hey, Mike, how you doing?"
Right.
And, you know, so, you know, I love the MSP space. I do miss it from a standpoint of all those very tight-knit relationships with people. You know, I try to compare it to your doctor or your lawyer. I mean, you know, as you grow and evolve, those people become very important to you, and whoever's taking care of your IT is the same way.
But you've gone to the dark side now, they would say, right?
Well, listen, when you're looking for something to do, what I would tell all former MSP owners, all former MSP team members, if you want something different, come to the vendor side. And what I can tell you about vendors is there's so many things they think they know about us.
Right.
That they really don't. I know that's what John would tell you. We'll sit and talk about something, and he'll explain why they were doing it.
John, the CEO.
John Murchison, the CEO of Blackpoint, he'll be like, "We were doing it. We thought this is what you wanted." And I'm like, "Well, no, that's not really how this works." And it's no different in any business.
Right.
I mean, until you have somebody saying, "Well, this is how we really look at monthly billing," or "This is how we look at monthly contracts," or "This is the type of alert we really need." You, as a vendor, they don't quite have the knowledge. You know, they know enough to be dangerous. So it's been fun to come over and share, this is how we look at it as an MSP. I was actually just having this conversation this morning because one of our partners was asking us to share some of our stats for all of our saves and all these things. And I'm like, well, as an MSP owner, here's how I would use those things. And the SOC was sharing, okay, well, we could share this, and this is how it could help you. So I think it's a unique world we're starting to live in, where you end up with former MSP employees who are ready for something different.
Right.
You know, and by the way, owners. I mean, owners are always living. I don't think, maybe I'll be wrong, but I'm not sure retirement's ever in my. You know, I would like to slow down, but you know, helping, because we developed a relationship. You know, Blackpoint, and by the way, we did business with lots of vendors that were great vendors. Helping them just seems natural because that's what we did in the MSP space.
So we're here, Mike, at the ConnectWise IT Nation Secure event outside of Orlando. What are some of your goals this week?
Well, our goal is to continue to meet our existing partners. The challenge today is when you call people on the phone, they don't answer.
Right.
When you send them an email, you don't know if they get it. Everybody thinks everything's a sales pitch. So the easiest thing to do at events, especially in our space, is to meet your great partners, shake hands, break bread, build relationships, and then hopefully meet new. And because it never stops. This is a very unique industry that, even with all of the acquisitions, is growing by the number of partners, they tell me, greater than it's ever grown, with new people in the business. So we're here to meet people and, share some of our story and, continue to build relationships and start new relationships with people we don't know yet.
And how does Blackpoint help MSPs?
Well, once again, this is now a personal story, so I'll share with why I picked them.
Good.
As the idea of, as an MSP owner, not trying to sell you something. I knew in our business on Saturday morning at 2 a.m., I needed a person who was going to be held accountable to make a call.
Wow.
I didn't need a ticket. I didn't need an alert. I didn't need a phone call. I needed someone to make the call. And for us, Blackpoint was the company that had all these high quality security operations centers, SOC analysts. Their management team was very engaged. I knew that when they made a call at 2 a.m, I could defend it because, by the way, when you shut off a CEO's machine at 2 a.m, whether it's compromised or not, they're still pissed.
Right.
And we wanted to look at all of our clients and say, listen, a very smart, security-minded and focused person made this call. It wasn't us just saying, okay, turn it off, or, so for us, that's what Blackpoint was. Blackpoint was our 2 a.m. making call. Now it became much more than that, but when we were looking for something, we had lots of tools that sent us alerts and open tickets, but at 2 a.m, when you get out of bed and you're groggy-eyed, is your IT team really to make that call? So that's what we wanted, and that's what they provided.
What should an MSP ask a vendor to qualify them to be a partner?
Well, I think it starts with getting to know them, and you need to build relationships because, by the way, all of the market's changing very quickly. Whether it's MSP, whether it's the MSP's clients, whether it's equity investment coming into the market. So I think you have to build a relationship and constantly trying to figure out where are they going? What are the directions they're trying to do? Now, my questions were always about who were the people? Did they want to help me grow my business? Or were they trying to figure out how to grow their own business in ways that weren't beneficial to MSP or to our reseller channel company? And so for me, I think you focus on who are the people, what are they doing, and then where is their future? Do they see themselves wanting to play in MSP, co-managed, worldwide markets, things to that nature? Try to figure out that. Everybody's going to have a tech team dig into the tool. Every tool vendor has to be great at what they do.
Right.
Okay? And then try to figure out from a business standpoint, who can I do business with? Who can I pick up the phone, call, and say, listen, this isn't working for me, help me, and somebody's willing to jump.
And what should vendors do to be better partners with MSPs?
Well, I think vendors have to listen better. We spend a lot of time at Blackpoint trying to teach everybody that most vendors present from a standpoint that they want to be the superhero. But in the MSP world, the MSP is the superhero. The vendors are, like I reference Batman all the time. So the MSP is Batman. The vendors are on the utility belt. Okay, so I think all vendors have to learn that, help their MSP partners be the superhero and grow. One of the things I talk about a lot at Blackpoint is I believe that more vendor companies, and by the way, I'm trying to work very hard for Blackpoint not to be this way,
right?
But they're more interested in the customers they don't have than the customers they do have. So help your current good partners grow and invest, be the utility, be the tool on their utility belt for them to be a superhero for their client.
Mike, has there been anything in the last month or so you changed your mind on?
Wow. So I'll give you the easy one first. There are so many events in this business. As on the vendor side now, as an MSP, I always I don't know whether it was because I could send people but it seems like the event space is just
Yes.
multiplied.
Unbelievable.
Like I'm traveling every week.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've gotten to know Delta very well being based in Atlanta.
That's right.
I would like to not travel so much. So and I'm not sure how many events, what events. Everybody I've talked to, I keep trying to ask, how do we interact if we're not in an event?
Right.
Okay. What events really matter to you? Trying to understand that. So I'm trying to understand that world. Being here with you on a podcast. Is this a method to now start to be with people that most of us never thought about?
Right.
So outside of that, I mean, what I would tell you is that I think our business is going through, our industry is going through an entire evolution. What I've been speaking on from a Blackpoint MSP standpoint is I think the compliance and security businesses are truly coming together finally.
Right.
So I think much like, people had to go from being a break fix company to an MSP company. When we were selling computers and made 50% gross margin, that business went away. Then we were selling laser printers and that business went away.
Yes.
I think we're at a unique time in our history where we're going to start to see this next evolution of the type of service provider, the things that they want to do. We spent the last, 5 to 10 years with this MSP space that's still a great business, but MSPs have been convinced, hey, listen, maybe projects aren't important, focused on MSP or consulting's not important. And I think all of that's coming back because I think our clients want help and they want to work with their trusted partner.
Right.
They don't care the type of business or the type of spend. They just care, I want the trusted partner.
I'm not sure if I told you my story, but I started the MSP in the 90s, was working way too hard, 14, 16-hour days. You're no stranger to this. Next thing I know, I'm at the doctor, and she tells me I'm at 340 pounds. She says, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. Scared the hell out of me, Mike. So I'm driving home, punching the steering wheel, So I spent the next 6-7 months, lost about 120 pounds.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. And people ask me how, like it's some secret. I say, discipline. That's how I did it. I got focus, willpower. How does discipline play a role in your world?
Well, so first, I guess, health as you get older becomes much more important than you think of at early age. So, I'm also on a journey of trying to lose 100 pounds, and be healthier as we're going forward. Listen, being able to force yourself to do the things you don't want to do every day is the hardest thing in the world.
It sure is.
But if you accomplish that, then you grow exponential. So I'm a big fan of a book called Extreme Ownership, and I try to wake up every day and just say, I'm going to own my day. I'm going to try to teach my team and the people I lead that they should own their day. It should be as good of a blend from, everybody's got to have work-life balance today. And I think we're about the same age. And in our generation, we sucked at that.
Sure did.
So I think trying to figure out this new normal is very important. And it goes to discipline because I'm bad. I'm still an old-fashioned workaholic. I'm bad about not taking a vacation. And like, I just had this speech by my wife, and she's like, you're disciplined in everything you do at the office. Now discipline yourself to say you need to take a week off and not take your phone. So I think it's extremely important, and you've got to figure out, in all parts of your life. It's not just exercise. It's not just work. It's not just personal. It's the entire picture, and focus on owning it every day.
As a child, was there a lot of discipline instilled in the family, your parents?
Yeah, I mean, so once again, from a history standpoint, I come from a very, I had my parents were divorced when I was 7. My mom died in a car accident when I was 13. So I had a very interesting, just had to learn how to survive, but had, grandparents who were very engaged, who made sure. So yeah, I think I would tell you it was discipline, but today my dad would tell you probably not, because he would tell you that, because he was chasing his career, and he was letting me learn on my own. Versus today we focus on, like with us, our kids were always very disciplined. They knew the rules, they knew the foul lines, and I'm a big fan of, listen, I in my presentations, I like to quote college football coaches because I think they're very good at this.
Yeah.
Having a plan is the most important thing in the world. You got to have the plan, follow the plan, improve the plan, follow the plan. And that's why I like hanging out with those guys.
Yeah, the foul lines. That's really you're a baseball guy, or in the fairway, I guess us golfers would say.
One of my mentors, Bill Byer, who actually was the guy who hired me at Becca in 1989, used to always tell me, your job is to establish the foul lines. And as long as they stay, and he was a huge baseball guy. I mean, being in Atlanta in the early 90s with Smoltz and Avery
Glavine,
and Maddox and Glavine and all them. He was a huge, we went to baseball all the time.
Yeah.
You establish the foul lines, and until our team crosses the foul lines, you let them play.
Wow.
As soon as they cross the foul lines, you correct it right away. So I've tried to always kind of keep that adage as I've grown in business.
What motivates you, Mike?
People. I love people. I think that today most people desire to be successful but don't know how. I think that most people want to do the right thing, and you just have to enable it as we go forward. So I like engaging with all the people. One of the things I love at Blackpoint is I'm meeting all these people who are, young, starting their careers. Once again, the difference between an MSP and a vendor to me is vendors have these roles like BDRs, and they have all these entry-level jobs that in the MSP business we just didn't have. So I get to interact with people that I just didn't, and help them now make this next step. So what drives me is to make a difference. I mean, what I would tell you is, and I think maybe this is an age thing, I think the greatest legacy that any leader leaves is all the people they've taught. So I'm very proud. I have 3 kids as well. All are successful in their careers and their lives, and I believe that that my wife and I contributed, and then we've tried very hard every time we see people to be the people saying, how can we help, and then how can we expand and grow everybody together? Because listen, if we can all just figure out how to get along, money's always going to be something we always have to accomplish, but in the end, if you're happy being with people and you're happy doing things, then it becomes very enjoyable.
So given the motivation of impact and working with people, how do you measure success?
Watching them grow, watching them get promoted, watching them be successful in their career. There's recently one young man at Blackpoint that I got to meet who started as a BDR. I've watched him just bust his butt for the last, almost 9 months in this position. And now, he got a promotion the other day. I was very excited for him, and because once again, in our lives, most of my employees inside our MSP were with us for 10, 12, 15 years. I still have one employee. Well, I don't have the employee. Inside of Becca, there is a gentleman, his name's Bruce Beaumont. He has been with the company since 1982, and he is still there today.
Wow.
So to me, that's the, watching people grow and stay, which isn't really common anymore.
Right.
It's one of the things that
It's rare.
My hope is to teach people, hey, listen, I understand the next job tends to bring more money, but hey, listen, there's a bigger win here as you go forward and stay someplace and grow up the management structure. And I challenge all owners and leaders of big companies to say, invest in your people. And for me, that's, I watch Blackpoint now doing that. I watched our brands doing that. I have seen brands quit doing that. So for me, it's always about seeing the people grow.
Mike, thank you so much for your time today. Anybody watching or listening, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, they can always find me on LinkedIn. So it's Estep, is the tagline. And then, go to Blackpoint Cyber's website. And of course, they're very good about sharing my email address. So anyone can find me, gladly talk. Love sharing stories and love, helping everybody in the industry figure out how we all win together.
Estep, E-S-T-E-P. Mike, thanks so much for your time today.
You got it.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations.